I'm not interested in alienating any demographics, because I feel like there's a world in my mind that can exist where through a song or through an action, somebody might have just a sliver of a change of opinion about something. And I've always said, let the music speak for itself. Let the lyrics do the talking. And if I can reach you through a lyric that really means something, that's better for me than hitting somebody over the head with you're doing the wrong thing.
And let's face it, we like to talk about Broadway and the American Songbook. Nicolas King and Seth Sikes, two of New York's most popular, young, and handsome nightclub entertainers, have joined forces together for an evening that you won't want to miss here in South Florida. The two are going to deliver a powerhouse performance at Sunshine Cathedral Center for the Performing Arts on October 28. They will pay tribute to show-stopping stars like Sammy Davis Jr. and Anthony Newley, Edie Gourmet, Ethel Merman, Barbra Streisand, and so many more. Nicolas King is an award-winning artist who has been in dozens of television commercials and on Broadway opposite very famous names like Tom Selleck and Carol Burnett and many more. He was the longest-running Chip in history for Disney's Beauty and the Beast. Seth Sikes is one of New York's most popular and handsome nightclub singers. His critically acclaimed tributes to Judy Garland, Liza Minnelli, and Bernadette Peters consistently draw attention from audiences around the world. So we welcome you to Unapologetically Queer. I'm your host, Al Ferguson, and I am proud to talk to some of the most interesting people of our LGBTQ plus community that are the most interesting to our LGBTQ plus community. Well, these two are called the New Belters, popular in New York City cabaret circles. They're cabaret singers, Broadway performers. Nicolas King and Seth Sikes are with us today to talk about queer culture, their tour experiences, their appearance October 28th here in South Florida, and much more. So welcome Nicolas King and Seth Sikes, and I should get it off the table right away. I understand you two are unapologetically queer.
I don't believe in apologizing for anything. No.
We
are. I guess we are.
Yeah.
Yeah, we do. We basically are. Yeah. Me too. All right. Well,
right now,
we are as we speak. So
yeah, we always make the joke about those in New York, our New York gays, our northern cousins. We're New York South, as you know, here in South Florida. You're both what many people call Broadway babies. And your rapport together is quite amazing. I've watched a lot of music that you're doing. Of course, you've both had separate careers, but this arrangement of coming together. Correct me if I'm wrong. You guys haven't been together or working together for very long. Do I have that right?
That's true. Actually, we met in June of last year, and actually, you can explain this better because it's along with our theme perfectly.
We knew who each other were, and we met in passing, but we never had a conversation or anything. But it was kind of late at night. I live in Hell's Kitchen, and it was like 1:30 in the morning, and I had several drinks. And I was walking up 9th Avenue, and I was like, Nicolas King!
I had also had several cocktails, and I was walking down 9th Avenue, and I said, I know you, because we knew of each other. And of course, I knew exactly who Seth was, and we hugged on the street. Is how are you? What's going on? We never talk. How do we remedy this? We never hang out.
And I said, I really wish I thought to ask you to be a part of my big Judy Garland's 100th birthday concert at 54 Below on Friday, which is where I was doing this big concert with a 7-piece band and all these guest singers. And I said, I wish I had thought to ask you. And he said,
yeah, I'm available. I'll be there. What time is sound check? And that's it. So that's
we put together a little medley over the phone and rehearsed it for the first time in sound check. And it was at that time we thought, you know what? we need to work together.
This is pretty fun.
You two are kind of magical together. Why after that experience? So you do. I'm gonna mention the Judy Garland event that you just talked about a little bit later. But after you did that first event, why did you decide, hey, let's turn this into a gig, and let's turn it into a gig that not only in the city, but is going to tour around to different places, especially LGBT-centric communities around the country? Why did you decide to do that?
Can I answer that one? We actually didn't plan to do that. It just sort of unfolded. We had spent an evening about maybe a month after that, just hanging out, looking up YouTube videos and listening to songs and unreleased recordings that I have and unreleased recordings that he has, and exchanging stories. And we stayed up very late till I think 8 or 9 o'clock in the morning one night, just listening to songs and looking at clips on YouTube. And it just became so apparent that we had the exact same taste in the stuff that we love to listen to. And at the end of that night, we both looked at each other and went, well, we have to do something. Either it's a show, maybe it's a duet, maybe it's a single, maybe it's who knows, but it has to be something. And that night, that morning, technically, we said, well, why don't we make it an act? And so we booked it. And then about a week later it hit, we went, oh crap, we have a booking. Now what do we do? We told them we have a show and we don't have a show. What do we do? So we came up with a show. And as the show began to be publicized and people started to hear about it, I started getting phone calls from different venues throughout the country, reaching out to us, hey, could we book you here? Could we book you there? And I remember calling him and saying, hey, we just got an offer to do a gig in Vegas. We just got offered to do a gig in LA. What do you think we make a little mini tour of it? I mean, I don't know, maybe we could make this happen. And thus a tour was born that has yet to finish. That's been it'll be a year in October. So when we're playing in South Florida on the 28th, that'll be exactly 1 year that we've been touring. And it's completely unexpected. I don't think either of us really planned to do this.
No.
Because we're both solo artists, and so we never thought about it.
And what I was going to say is, here in South Florida, Wilton Manors, certainly Fort Lauderdale, we have so many performers, stories like that. But it's a little more difficult when two individual personalities come together to mesh together, and you have to become friends for the chemistry to work. And as I was doing research on you, I watched one particular video that really caught my fancy, and we want to show everybody that right now. Watch this.
If you're ever in a jam, here I am.
If you're ever in a mess, SOS.
And if you ever feel so happy you land in jail, I'm your bail. Well, it's friendship, friendship, just the perfect friendship. When other friendships have been forgot, ours will still be hot. A lot, dig, dig, dig.
Well, you're channeling some Ethel Merman there that is just absolutely amazing. When you did that, I'm curious from your seat, from your stage, what is it about gay men to be so passionate about the Great American Songbook, Broadway music? You clearly represent that. The fans, which are basically all gay guys. What is it about us that makes us so passionate for this entertainment stream?
Well, I get this question a lot. I think more specifically, you're talking about why do gay men love the female, divas, and that's the age-old question. I think it's because there's two reasons really. First of all, gay men have the best taste, and these are the finest. These are the finest singers in the world. But secondly, I think that I'm from Paris, Texas. And when you are a young gay boy having feelings for other boys, and you're listening to songs like The Man That Got Away, or maybe This Time, and it's about, this pining and longing for, a boy, and it's literally, the man that got away, since my man and I ain't together. And you sing these, it's a way for you to channel your feelings about men and through music. And I think that, that's why a lot of gay boys connect with this stuff.
And I think in terms of the Great American Songbook, these songs are so beautiful. They're so emotionally in tune. And I think that as a systematic issue, not just in our country but worldwide, men are not allowed to express emotion. If you're that's saved for women. Women do that, but men don't do that. Men have to be strong, and but it's so untrue, because all men have every human being on earth has deep emotions, and with these songs that are so tapped into an emotional center. I think that's something that the LGBTQ community is very in tune to. They're in tune to, to emotion, and not to be afraid to express, and I think that's beautiful, that this music affords everybody the opportunity to get in touch with the emotional strength.
That's very well said. We give ourselves permission to be accepting to that music. That's an interesting thought. And by the way, I have to say, I'm a little gobsmacked because Paris, Texas is a little crossroads. I was going to say nothing of a place compared to New York City, but it's nice. I've been to Paris, but a very good friend of mine, Shangela, is also from Paris, Texas, and from RuPaul's Drag Race. I think that's so. There's two of you. Paris did good, Mom. Paris did good.
Everyone
they often get mistaken for each other. It's uncanny.
Yes, coming out of a box and all.
I never met her, and people are always, on the what I call the lavender circuit, which is Provincetown, Fire Island, Rehoboth, Fort Lauderdale, Puerto Vallarta, Palm Springs. I call this the lavender circuit, and people. A lot of people know Shangela, and when I say I'm from Paris, Texas, they'll be like, "Oh, you must know Shangela, but we've never met."
Oh, you haven't met? Oh, that's funny. All right. Well, we'll have to see if we can get that corrected. You mentioned earlier about y'all meeting and working together in this gig for Judy Garland's 100th birthday. I've read a lot about that evening and party. One of the things and show of what you did. And you've mentioned it about iconic women that gay men idolize. I'm curious, these diva singers, and you do a lot of their music, diva singers recognized often by a single first name: Judy, Barbara, Bet, Madonna, Cher. What is it about the women specifically for you that becomes a source of inspiration, and for the rest of the community? We want to hear that kind of music from those kind of divas. What is it that drives us? The masculinity issue I understand on the Great American Songbook and Broadway, but this is a little bit different. These diva icons, why do we gravitate toward it? Why do you sing their music?
Well, it's a good question. Look, they get the best songs. I mean, the material that women get is so much richer than the stuff that guys get. We sing a little bit in our show. We really only sing two songs that were sung by men, which is Anthony Newley songs, and Sammy Davis Jr. cover them. That's kind of it. I mean, the best songs are these songs written for women. And I never really thought about it in terms of the way Nicolas put it, but yeah, because women are allowed to express themselves in that emotional way. But for me, I've known I was gay since I was in third grade, and I never really had much issue with it. But I never wanted to be a woman. I never wanted to, I never felt uncomfortable as a male, but I imagine myself having the power, that amazing power that a singer has when they're on stage. I mean, when I used to watch Liza at Radio City when I was a kid, I mean, that was watching her sing New York, New York, and at Radio City Music Hall for all those people was that's the equivalent of hitting a home run for me.
Yeah.
So it's really mighty, and it feels really, really good to be able to do it. And the songs are so great. I mean, that's not a very concise answer.
Yeah.
But that's
No. But you're clear. You're crystal clear there. And when the two of you come down to South Florida for this October 28th performance, as everyone knows, it's being brought to South Florida by Genvis. And Genvis is the South Florida Venetian Art Society. It's a nonprofit dedicated to the performing arts. And if you're not familiar with Genvis, you should get to know them because they do a lot of incredibly excellently produced orchestrated live performance events like what we're going to see and we're talking about today, and especially through the intersection and the lens of our LGBTQ plus community. Genvis is bringing this incredible show, and it's called The New Belters, starring Nicolas King and Seth Sikes, and it's going to be at the Sunshine Cathedral Center for Performing Arts on October 28th. Tell us a little bit about the show. You've been doing this nationally in terms of what you're going to prepare when you come to South Florida, part of the Lavender Belt. That's hilarious. Tell us what to expect when we come to the performance.
You just told them the name of the show, The New Belters. So I thought, tell them where that came from.
Well, yeah. Well, the name of the show, and I'm sure some in this viewership are going to understand it. It's a reference from the beautiful and ill-fated, unfortunately, one season of the Judy Garland show, when a very young, up-and-coming, and then unknown Barbra Streisand, which is a strange sentence to say out loud, was on. She was a guest, and as she and Judy are sitting having their tea moment, where they're drinking tea and discussing and chatting, Ethel Merman is in the audience, and they bring her up, and they're chatting, and they burst into There's No Business Like Show Business, all together, all three of them. It's really crazily iconic to watch. But before they do, Judy says to Ethel, she says, "Well, what do you think about the kid? Talking about Barbara. Isn't she wonderful? She's great." And Ethel goes, "Oh, she's great. She's the new belter." And we thought it was kind of funny. We were trying to toss around ideas about, well, what do we call this show, And just as a joke, I said, well, what if we call it The New Belters, And we both had a big laugh about it, and it kind of stuck. Unfortunately, about 9 people in every audience know about it, and everyone else sort of scratches their head. So
yeah, I bet more than that, but
rebrand one of these days. But we think it's kind of fun, and I think it's kind of a great example of the homage that Seth and I like to give to these great people, to these wonderful performers like Barbara and Ethel and Judy and Sammy. These people that are they are belters. They're the original people who stood out there, planted their feet in center stage, and just gave it their all and sang their hearts out without. She's talking about being unapologetic and just giving everything that they have and emoting 100%. And those are the performers that Seth and I, as little boys, love to watch. And those are the people that we sort of emulated and we idolized as little kids. So this show it's part us able to emote for an audience, but also a little part of it is for us to get to maybe live out our little boy fantasies of getting to sing these great big songs.
Yeah,
in this
awesome.
Pay tribute to these people that we love, these real showmen and showwomen.
Let me try to help our viewing audience on some of the expectation that you're hearing from the New Belters. Let's start with Nicolas. Nicolas has been, as I said at the top, in dozens of television commercials, many Broadway and theater experiences, including the longest running chip from Beauty and the Beast ever in history. I want to show you a little bit more about the Belter, Nicolas King. Watch this.
Do you hear that foghorn down the line? I figure that it's vessel number 49. She's the only ship that'll sound that way. She's a Fire Island ferry on the old South Bay. See that old boat swerving round the bend, a slopping and a slurping like a tipsy friend. Folks around these parts get the time of day from the Fire Island ferry on the old South Bay. Here she comes. Hey, everybody guard your pools, 'cause she's always bringing passengers who break the rules. After months and months of quarantine, those cranky city slickers crave a brand new scene. So they make a little getaway to the Fire Island ferry on the old South Bay.
Well, I set that up incorrectly. Of course, that's Seth.
Wow, I look really blonde and cute.
I was going to say they become interchangeable. So really, at the end of the day, what difference does it make? But I want to mention, let's talk about Seth first then. I want to mention, and Seth, you probably don't know this, but you came to my attention in a completely different way. We actually showed one of your pandemic parody music videos on Queer News Tonight. It really caught our attention. And it was the one about Seth going to Mexico to look for a man in Guadalajara and Puerto Vallarta and on the beach. And it was it was fun. Your voice, and it was campy, and it was gay, and it was a lot of fun to watch. Tell me about, in addition to Songbook and American Songbook and Broadway music, these kind of parody with you singing. What was the inspiration of that? You have quite a number of them. Was it a result of you were just bored in pandemic? What motivated it?
That's it. I mean, we weren't able to perform for audiences, and I was really, really bored. And I never did any video editing or anything in my life, or recording or anything. So I just started playing around, on my phone. I thought, oh, this would be funny. What if I did this? And then the very first one I did was. So I was stuck in my apartment for like 6 weeks in my little studio. And then I was very lucky. A friend of mine on Fire Island said, come out here. So I came in at the end of April, and I got to spend the entire summer on Fire Island, which was great because you could socialize outdoors and do things safely. And it was sunshiny, and in New York, everything was shut down. So I was really bored, and I just started. The first one I made was it was a parody of Joseph and the Amazing Technicolor Dreamcoat, and it was, instead of my coat of many colors, it was my mask of many colors. And I thought, well, this is just stupid and fun, and people really liked it. So I just kept making them. I made like 6 that year, and then I think I made like maybe 9 or 10 at this point. And
it gives you an opportunity to show off your talent and your voice, but in a completely different way. I mean, I love Randy Rainbow, but he doesn't sing like you do. And so as a result, you're writing your lyrics, the cover that you're doing, you're writing that, or is somebody else doing it for you?
I write the parodies mostly myself, and I have a friend named Lisa Lambert who wrote the lyrics for The Drowsy Chaperone and won a Tony for it. She helps me polish them up, and she'll give me little suggestions here and there, but it's mainly me.
Yeah, it's very fun to our audience. You want to go to Seth Sikes' YouTube channel. You can see the videos that he's talking about, and there's some very there's every gay trope that there is. You could have easily been folded into Eichner's Bros in the movie, very, very easily with the kind of thing.
They never called me.
Right, and call. And I mentioned Nicolas. I didn't set you up correctly, but lots of Broadway experience, television, commercial experience. I want everybody to see a sample of that. Watch this.
Once I get you up there where the air is so rarefied, we are gonna glide starry-eyed. Once I get you up there, I'll be holding you so awfully near. You might even hear all of the angels cheer, because we're together weather-wise. It's such a lovely day. But if you just say the words, we'll beat those birds down to Acapulco Bay. Hey, it's perfect for a flying honeymoon, I dare to say. So come on, fly with me. Come fly, let's fly. Pack up, let's fly away.
So, Nicolas, you've done all of this Broadway work. Any particular favorites of live theater on stage that's been a favorite for you?
Gosh, I have to say, and I know this sounds so cliche, but I feel really, really lucky in the sense that I really haven't had any negative or sort of crummy experiences. Everybody that I was able to work with as a kid and as a young adult, it's really been really wonderful. I think the first taste I sort of got of it was with Tom Selleck when we did 1,000 Clowns on Broadway. He treated me like an adult. I was only 10, but he treated me like a not just the kid in the show, but he treated me like a peer, like an equal, which always kind of hit me because I'm only 10 years old. What do I know? I'm certainly not the pro here, but he really included me in a lot of the decision making. He fought for me to have the part. We survived 9/11 together. I remember we were part of the masses that fled home to Rhode Island during all that, and he called the house the next day and said, "Hey, look, the mayor called and he wants us back to work tomorrow," which is the Thursday, 2 days after the attack. And he said, I don't really want to go on stage without my co-star, and unless you're there, I don't know what we should do. I think we have to go back to work. But it was part of that whole camaraderie, as a part of he treated me with such respect and with so much love, and I think that he set the tone for that, and everybody else sort of in that cast followed suit, and I think that kind of stuck with me. Some really big important adult showing you respect and love as a child, and it just made you feel like you were part of something bigger, and you weren't just the kid that came on and did things like a trick. You were part of the ensemble, part of the company, and that always has stayed very close to my heart, that entire experience.
Nicolas, I'm also curious, so many friends that work in entertainment in different genres. Do you have a preference working the scripted Broadway musical, whatever it might be, versus doing cabaret or doing a tour like you're doing now? Do you have a preference of one thing over another? This is really my lane. This I love the most.
Yeah, I think they both have their strengths. I mean, I love being able to inhabit a character, whether it's 8 times a week or whether it's for a shoot or for something. But there is something to be said about having the freedom of inhabiting as many characters as you want in a nightclub act, because, when you're doing that, you're sort of creating your own narrative and your own character. And if you're doing a 75-minute show, you're basically inhabiting 12 different characters if you want. And you sort of are able to set the trajectory of where this character is going, what stories you want to tell, because it's you telling your own stories on stage, not someone else, but you're telling your own stories. And I think there's something really to be said for doing a show like that, that is really appealing to me, especially because as I got older, I wasn't able to do as many acting roles as I had wanted because, not to make excuses, but my height sort of capped off at about 5'2 1/4. And when you're that height, you're not even allowed to be in the room for auditions for leading guys or for bit parts or something, because they want people that are taller. It's a really hard thing. I know a lot of people have a lot of injustice, so I won't start the heightest movement just yet. But one day we're gonna get. It's true. So I found that, well, you know what? I'm not getting hired for this stuff.
Yeah.
So let me make my own jobs. Let me create my own. Let me do something that I know that I can do, and rather than sit home and wash dishes somewhere, I want it to be out there.
Right. Well, Nicolas, as soon as you're ready for, I'm willing to sign on with you on Shorter Lives Matter. So I'll be right there with you.
Thank you.
Right? I want to take a moment to talk about y'all's New York. I say y'all here in the South. Your New York perspective. We always think, gosh, New Yorkers just don't get what's going on around the world. Around America. I want to talk about politics for a moment, because you're doing this tour and you make the joke about the lavender belt. You bring to Palm Springs, to West Hollywood, to Rehoboth, to Provincetown, to Fire Island. They are very different than Florida. And we're just having some things go on here, clearly, in terms of the politics. I'm just curious, as entertainers and guys that are out there, New Yorkers, in terms of the entertainment industry and the embracement of the queer community, what do you think about, from your seat, what you're watching in places like Florida and other places around the country in terms of the politics of hate that's going on against LGBTQ?
You want to start or you want me to start?
You start.
I think any state or any government official, who decides to put a limit on free speech and expression, I think the minute that begins, that's the minute that you're on the wrong side of history. Anytime that has happened in the past, it has led to catastrophic events. Not to mention, it's inhumane and it's actually, I think, evil. And I think that any time that those sort of restrictions are put on any community whatsoever, I think that's when you have to take a step back and realize that I think I might be on the wrong side of history. This is not going to end well, and because hate just perpetuates hate, and I think it's really appalling that certain states and certain government officials have taken this stance, and I hope that things turn around, obviously, but I think it's really appalling.
And I'm curious, when you're here October 28th in Fort Lauderdale, do you stay away from the politics completely? Do you integrate anything in terms of politics? What do y'all do in your show?
Actually, we don't talk much about politics in our show. In my solo shows, it's hard for me not to. I've been very outspoken against the previous president, whose name I do not like to say, from the beginning. And you know what? Some people don't like that. I don't care. I mean, I think it's very important. Not that I get a lot of people who see my shows who are preaching to the choir. But I did a show in my hometown, Paris, Texas, last year, and my family was really worried I was going to embarrass them by becoming too political. But I tried to find a way to say it without embarrassing anyone, about preaching too much. But I said, the things that people say have things you say matter, and then saying children will listen, the Sondheim song, and when people hear people saying the horrible things about you, if you're a kid and you think that you might be gay, and you hear people saying certain things, then it really can affect you. And people injure themselves and hurt themselves, and I think that what people say is can really matter. So people should take what they say more seriously. I mean, yeah.
No, and I agree with you. I mean, I always feel like in my shows, I'm not interested in alienating any demographics, because I feel like there's a world in my mind that can exist where through a song or through an action, somebody might have just a sliver of a change of opinion about something. And I've always said, let the music speak for itself. Let the lyrics do the talking. And if I can reach you through a lyric that really means something, then that's better for me than hitting somebody over the head with a, you're doing the wrong thing, I think is not effective. But if I can get a song to you across, like Seth said, like Children Will Listen, which I also have done many times, the lyric that Stephen Sondheim wrote,
Genius.
What do you leave to your child when you're dead? Only whatever you put in its head. Things that your mother and father once said, which were left to them too. And when you put that out there, and I did that song in Florida, actually, about a year and a half ago, for a concert I was doing at the Wick Theater. And, it's a very mixed, it's a grab bag of an audience there. But to watch that whole audience, no matter what your background or your belief system was, everybody sort of sat back and they were all dumbfounded by those lyrics. And I felt like that's my job was accomplished. If I could get everybody, then I did my job.
So well said. I want to end our conversation by continuing to try to give viewers an opportunity of what the experience is going to be like for the first time of them performing together here in South Florida. And right, and I want to take a good look at the new Belters as a duo. Because I think that's one of the best examples of what Nicolas and Seth are going to be doing here in South Florida. They're going to be performing their own types of music, but together they're really, really going to shine. And I want to show you an example of how they sing together. Now, they've already referred to it, and they talked about Ethel Merman of the formation of the Belters, which is the inspiration of this tour title. But one of the other things that happened in that iconic moment, remember this was live in October of 1963, also, in addition to Ethel Merman, of the three of them performing, one perhaps of the greatest duets ever done occurred on that show, the Judy Garland Show. Garland was famous for her signature song, Get Happy. Barbra Streisand for her amazing song, Happy Days Are Here Again. And in that famous mashup of both songs working together, these two titans working together, they absolutely made music and television history. And it was fascinating to me in the research and preparing for their visit October 28th and their concert, Nicolas King and Seth Sikes, as gay men, do the ultimate tribute to Garland and Streisand. Watch this.
All right, let's sing.
Let's do it.
Forget your troubles.
Happy days
Come on, get happy.
are here again.
You better chase all your cares away.
Are clear again.
Shout hallelujah.
So let's sing a song
And just get happy.
of cheer again.
Get
Happy
ready
days
for
are
the judgment day.
again.
The sun is shining.
All together.
Come on, get happy.
Shout it now.
Lord is waiting
no
to
one
take
who
your
can
hand.
doubt it now.
Shout hallelujah.
So let's tell the world
And just get happy.
about it now.
We're
Happy
going
days
to
are
the
here
judgment day.
again.
We're heading across the river. Soon our cares will all be gone.
There'll be no more from now on.
From now on, forget your troubles and just get happy.
Here again.
Better chase all your cares away.
Are here
Shout
again.
hallelujah.
So let's sing a
And just get
song
happy.
of cheer again.
Happy times.
Happy times.
Happy nights.
Happy nights.
Happy days
are here again.
How proud of that moment are y'all?
I haven't seen that
I haven't either.
since we did the show.
How did you find that? I didn't even know that was online.
It's absolutely amazing moment. And I know Nicholas and Seth would encourage, if you liked that, they would send you to YouTube, do a search of Judy Garland doing that with 22-year-old Barbra Streisand. It's an iconic moment that was done live. Why did y'all decide to do that? You did this at the Judy Garland 100th, but why did you choose this song? Because this was really a reach.
Yeah.
Okay, well, actually, we didn't sing it at the Judy Garland show. We did a whole other medley together.
Oh, okay.
We actually kind of chose not to include that in our first show because we felt it was way too on the nose. We felt like everyone overdone. Everyone in any piano bar in the world sings this. What on earth are we going to offer that's going to make it different and make it unique? Because it's so iconic. People are always going to
wait. I'm sorry to interrupt you. The one thing that you're going to do to make it unique is do it good.
Well, there's that. But thank you. But we really, our first show, we said we're not doing it. And our second show, we're not doing it. By our third show, our friend, which we have to give him thanks for, Richard J. Alexander, who's a wonderful friend of ours. He's a director, producer, directs Barbra Streisand and Kristen Chenoweth and Norm Lewis and all sorts of wonderful people. He came and saw our show in Palm Springs and he said, I have one note. You dangle the carrot in front of the audience and you never actually do it. He goes, if you make that your encore, he says, I guarantee you, the audience is gonna love it. And so we begrudgingly did it in that third show.
Fine, we'll do it.
And the audience went rabid. I mean, they really went nuts for
And
it.
they want it. People love it.
And
it's
they love
very
it.
satisfying.
And so we've kept it in the show. Richard was right, as he often is, and the audiences love it. And
It's our encore.
It's our encore. So we have to do it because it pays tribute to two of our favorite people.
Well, you know now, all of our viewers, you must come to the October 28th concert so you can see that encore that is coming. So when they fade like, oh, I'm done tonight, and you start to walk off, no, they're coming back to do something really amazing.
Don't cash in the valet ticket. Stick around.
That's exactly right. There is so much interesting content on their social media pages. Nicolas King and Seth Sikes, look at their social media, but especially their YouTube. There's so many fun things, amazing music, great parodies. There is so much there. So make sure you go there and see how talented both of these gentlemen are. And don't miss what they're getting ready to do. Perform here in South Florida. You want to get your tickets now. You can get them at eventbrite.com, or certainly go to genvis.org and support this amazing nonprofit, the Sunshine Cathedral Performing Arts Center, which does an amazing job for LGBT-centric entertainment. And thank you, Nicolas King and Seth Sikes, for this amazing conversation we've had and joining us today on Unapologetically Queer.